Hey everyone, welcome to the Novice Investor. I'm Lance, and today we're going to be talking about 401ks. So, what's a 401k? Well, really, it's a glorified savings plan for you to be able to save for retirement. So when you get to 65 or 70 years old, you're ready to stop working and have money to live off of. Now, the name for the 401k comes directly from the IRS tax code. In the tax code, there's something called subsection 401k. Tax code is hundreds of pages long, but there's this one little part that talks about 401ks, how they work, and why you should have one, and what's legal and not legal, and all of those things. Now, what's interesting about the 401k is that it's specifically sponsored by your employer. So if you own a small business, if you're an entrepreneur, maybe you're a contract worker, you drive for Uber, you technically can't have a 401k because you can only have it if you're working for a larger employer that's sending you a paycheck and they sponsor the plan and then deduct money out of your paycheck every week for you to put into this savings plan. Now, the 401k has really only been popular for about 40 years. For many of us who are maybe millennials or a bit younger, we feel like this is the only thing that's ever been around. But in reality, it started in the 1980s to replace the pension plan. Now, a pension plan is a defined benefit plan. What that means is that no matter how much you put in, you're going to get a set amount out every year or every month or every week or whatever it might be. So even if you put very little into a pension plan, if your employer says you're going to get $500 a month, that's what you're going to get. A 401k does not guarantee in any way how much money you'll get each month. All it guarantees is how much money you'll put in each month. So it's a defined contribution plan, not a defined benefit plan. And that gives you some flexibility, but also means there's no real guarantees in how much money will be there when you retire. So what are a couple of the pros to think about of why you should have a 401k? Well, the first and most obvious is that it lowers your tax bill. A 401k is tax deferred, which means that when you put money into a 401k, you do that before paying taxes. So if you make $3,000 a month, but you put $500 into your 401k, now you're only paying taxes on $2,500 versus $3,000. So it lowers your taxable income. Since tax is just a percentage of your taxable income, you're de facto going to pay less tax. Also, it's a really good way to get free money from your employer. Most employers will match in some way, shape, or form. Maybe it's 1% for 1% for the first 3%. So if you put in 3%, they'll put in 3% and you get to 6%. Or maybe it's 0.5% for the first 6%. So if you put in 6%, they'll put in another 3% and you'll be at 9%. Either way, it's free money, and who doesn't want free money? The last thing that's really great is that all this money is invested in the stock market. It's why it makes it different than a regular savings account at your local bank. And over the long run, the last 100 years or so, the stock market has returned around 7 to 10% year over year. And this is really, really positive for you because investing $300,000 over 30 years can turn into over $1 million when you're ready to retire. But like everything in life, there are a few cons. And the first and most obvious is that even though it's tax deferred, you still are going to pay taxes on it someday. And the problem with that is we don't know what tax rates are going to do. Most of us know our government has been deficit spending for at least a few years now. And what that means is that there's a good chance someday in the near future they're going to raise taxes. And in 30 or 40 or even only 10 years, you may be paying higher taxes when you pull that money out than you would have paying taxes now when you're putting that money in. The other thing to note is that once you put money into a 401k, it's kind of locked. You can pull it out early, but you're going to pay a penalty. So if you pull the money out before 59 and a half years old, you'll pay a 10% penalty, plus you'll pay the regular tax rates. And in California, like where I live, when you add 10% onto federal taxes, state taxes, and local taxes, you're going to easily be paying over 50%, which kind of makes it less exciting to take that money out before 59 and a half. The last thing to note is that there are fees and there still is risk. So your employer will almost never pay the fees, which means that 1% at least, and maybe up to 3.5% is going to be paid by you. And even though the stock market returns 7 to 10% per year over the long run, sometimes it gets really choppy. And if you happen to be 63 years old and it's 2008 and there's a huge down in the market, well, all of a sudden your retirement date may get pushed back a bit. There's ways to mitigate this that we won't get into now, but it's just something to be aware of. So what's the bottom line? Well, a couple of things. First off, the 401k is a really, really great way for you to start saving for retirement, to take advantage of the stock market, even if you don't know much about the stock market, and to get free money from your employer through the match. You always, always, always should try to max the match because, again, it's free money. But the downsides are you are going to pay some fees and you will pay taxes someday, and those taxes may add up to a lot when we get there, depending on how far away you are from retirement and how tax rates change between now and then. So that's it for today and for the 401k. If you want to learn more about retirement savings, check out our video on IRAs and Roth IRAs. They can be a great way to supplement your 401k. And always remember, just because you're a novice doesn't mean you can't get started in creating a better life and a better future for you and the people that you love. Until next time, we'll see you later.